Howdy everybody, I present to you my Detransition Timeline video. For everybody who's new to my channel, I'm a female to male to female detransitioner, meaning that I was a trans man and then I changed my mind and hopped the fence again back to a female. So, yes, the original OG pictures here. I think a really important aspect of this whole thing for me is that when I was a kid, in these pictures that you're seeing, I never felt dysphoria. And when I'm watching other people and other people's videos on their transition, a lot of the times I'm seeing them mention how when they were a kid they felt like they were in the wrong body, you know, the parts aren't right for them, something's wrong. Epic photobomb here. And for me, that never really was the case. I never really even had gender as a thought in my brain, probably until much, much later in my life. And, you know, I always felt fairly kind of confident in how I looked. I liked looking like a woman, like I liked doing the makeup thing. I just had other issues. And by those other issues, I mean that, especially when I was probably 13, 14, getting into the whole sexuality thing, I thought I was bisexual, and then I was like, okay, well, I don't like guys at all, so maybe I'm gay, and then I realized that I didn't like women either, and I'm like, well, if I don't like anybody, what the hell's wrong with me? And then that's when I had discovered what being asexual was. And long story short, I wasn't happy with that. I was asexual. I was not comfortable with intimacy or romance, and actually a more appropriate definition would be asexual aromantic, because I didn't like the mushy-gushy stuff either. But I still wanted like a partner. I still wanted a relationship. And of course, I was probably 17, 18 years old here, and I was very naive. I didn't know how to have a relationship that didn't involve sex, mostly because I didn't think anybody would want to be in that kind of a relationship. And so this whole time where I'm going through this phase of what the hell is wrong with me here, I didn't want to be asexual because I wanted just to have a normal relationship, right? And, I'm going to include a clip here of my pre-transition voice for you so you can tell the difference here.
Video, Mom. Were you documenting my last time with short hair?
And the Dolores wiggle crashed in the show here because she's adorable. But yes, so this whole time I had been having issues with my sexuality. I didn't want to be asexual, I wanted to be normal. And so I wasn't happy with my general self-diagnosis of asexuality. I was thinking, well, there's got to be, what's wrong with me? There's got to be something else. And so for a period of time, I had been trying to figure out what was going on, you know, because I was very masculine already. I liked all the guy things, and that's when I decided maybe I'll just transition. It'll be easier if I'm a guy. So, transition photos. That's when I had decided to transition into becoming a guy. I thought this is gonna fix all my problems, you know, if I don't want to be overly sexualized as a woman, I'll just hop the fence and just be a guy, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of fixed some of the problems I was having. Although fixed is the wrong word. It didn't solve the problems, it just kind of shoved them to the side. Because living as a guy, yes, I was happier because I wasn't dealing with the issues that I was having with the whole asexuality thing as a guy, because, well, one, I just wasn't dating. I didn't really know how to date as a trans man. So all those issues were kind of just gone because I wasn't having to deal with them. They weren't in my face every day. I mean, I didn't have to wake up in the morning and kind of deal with the same issues. I mean, I had a different set of issues, but they weren't the same issues that I was dealing with before. And so while I was transitioning, I will say that I was happier, but not because transitioning was the right decision for me. It's just because I wasn't dealing with the same problems. And so for probably about a year and a half, I'm taking testosterone. I was on testosterone from the first picture I showed you guys from the very beginning. And then I moved to a new city, far away from any and all family and friends, anybody I'd ever known, because I did not want to have to deal with transitioning and explaining it to people, my friends and my family. I didn't want to have to deal with it. So I got completely new coworkers, new friends. I moved away, and I kind of created a new life for myself as a completely different person. And, you know, if you are considering transitioning, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons too, because just because you're transitioning doesn't mean you're creating a different person. It's not an escape. You're supposed to be kind of embracing who you actually are. And if you are transitioning, if you are transgender, then all the power to you. Just make sure that you're actually transgender, because now that I've detransitioned, there are some issues that I still deal with now that I definitely didn't have before. So just be careful. But yeah, so as time goes on, I'm kind of having more and more doubts that if I'm actually transgender. It's probably been about a year and a half living as a guy now. And eventually I think, well, screw it. I'm going to buy some makeup and see if I can actually pass as a woman, which you see here did not go well. I did buy makeup. I did try it. I locked myself in the bathroom to make sure none of my roommates walked in on me with a full face of makeup, because they did not know that I was trans at all. And then eventually I got a wig, and especially after I had bought the wig, it had given me a huge confidence boost. But towards the beginning, after I had transitioned, I'm thinking, well, maybe can I pass as a woman? Like, how do I look? Like, can I even pass as my own gender anymore? And it freaked me out at first, because I didn't. I felt like a clown in makeup. But as time goes on, because I had detransitioned, I was off testosterone, I was giving it a lot of time, and my face had started to change more and more. The body fat redistribution, everything had started to change. And as things were changing, I had kind of gained a lot more confidence. I went out and I bought more clothes, which you'll see here. I bought makeup. And I had kind of just spent a lot of time trying to reconnect with kind of my femininity. Trying to be a woman again, which I can't believe I'm saying. It was a process. It was definitely... Oh, it was something. It was not something I thought that I would ever have to do. But yeah, anyways, as time kind of goes on, I start to look more and more different. And I don't know how I would have looked if I hadn't have ever gone on testosterone. Maybe I had looked a bit different. I sure know that my voice is a hell of a lot deeper than it was before. And that is one of my regrets, going on testosterone, is permanently altering my voice to be as deep as it is now, and it most certainly wasn't before. But yes, going through this whole thing of living as a guy and then living back as a girl has definitely, I'd say it's taught me some things that I didn't know before. It's given me an entirely different perspective on a lot of things, which I do value. It's not that I regret transitioning at all. I regret the permanent changes, but I wouldn't say it's a negative at this point. I absolutely thought that it was a mistake, and it was, but not necessarily a horrible mistake. But yeah, so then I finally got the courage to cut my hair again and go out with short hair, which I will say that when I was detransitioning, at least for the first few months, that was a major thing for me. I thought that, well, I'm going to go out with short hair again, and then I'm going to get mistaken for a guy. I don't want to get misgendered again in my own gender. And yeah, eventually I got over that, as time went on. And I'm still getting over that. I still have issues and confidence issues when I go out with short hair. If somebody stares at me for too long, I'm thinking, shit, like, what, do they think I'm a guy? Am I getting misgendered again? And so sometimes I still do wear the wig here, and it helps me. But, and we're going to roll into some screenshots of Dolores while I go into the exposition here. But, yeah, that was my detransition video. Kind of my whole... Not my whole story. My story's not done yet, but my journey up until this point. It was definitely not the right decision for me to transition. But I want to make sure that anybody who's watching who is transgender is not feeling like they've made a mistake. And if you have made a mistake, then, by all means, just do whatever makes you happy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is that I thought that transitioning would make me happier. And for a period of time, it did, but it wasn't a long-term solution for me. So if you're detransitioning, just give it time. Your body will change. It's not the end of the world. And if you are transgender, then all the power to you. I think the most important thing is that you do what's right for you. Screw what anybody else says. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. So, yeah, that's my story. That's my little piece that I'm putting out there. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. And, I guess until next time. See ya. Thanks.